Welcome to Demolition Success Secrets, the podcast that's changing the game for demolition businesses everywhere. Ever wondered how a wrecking ball wielding industry can leverage digital marketing to dominate their market? Well, we've got the blueprints, strategies, expert guests, and more to show you how. Stay tuned, because we're about to blast through the barriers of your business.
Welcome, guys. We got another episode of Demolition Success Secrets with a pretty sweet guest today who has beautiful weather, as as we heard in pre-interview. Well, welcome to the show. Really happy to have you guys.
Thanks for inviting us. Yeah, glad to be here. Chicago is very nice in May, September, October. Good time to come to Chicago. So, and actually the NDA is having training sessions in Chicago today, tomorrow, and Friday. So we do have some people at those meetings. So the people that are here from out of town for the National Demolition Association meetings or training, you enjoy the nice weather.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've been to Chicago once, and it was an East Coast road trip. I loved Chicago. I went to Boston. I was like, I've been to New York. I went during that trip. Of course, New York's New York. But Chicago, I was really, really, really impressed with. I thought it was a cool city.
Well, thank you.
It also wasn't wintertime.
Right. Don't come in the winter.
I will definitely say that. It was not wintertime, but I thought it was a really cool city. Definitely had the deep dish pizza. I don't think I had too many other like local foods there. I was there for maybe 2 days. Do you have any other good recommendations, like people who are in town?
When you come for deep dish, I would recommend Lou Malnati's.
Yes.
Some of the other places are a little more touristy, but Lou's over on Rush Street is pretty good. That's probably one of the better pizzas around. And there's a lot of great restaurants. I mean, look at TripAdvisor, whatever your fancy is, but there's tons of great restaurants. There's some Michelin restaurants. So whatever your fancy is, there's a lot of good restaurants. There's a lot of good bars that have good food in them also. I like a place right down the street from Lou Malnati's called Dublin's, an Irish bar named the Best Chicken Vesuvio. One of my favorite meals in the whole world, but it's just, it's a little Irish bar that has it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, Chicago's full of history. It's a big city, but lots of cool stuff about the city that you guys are in.
It's a big city. A lot goes on, but not only in the city, the suburbs, right? The suburbs, there's more activity, construction activity in the suburbs than the city right now. There's a lot going on in the suburbs. I mean, it's a big metropolitan area. There's a lot of people that live here, so there's a lot that goes on.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, tell us, how did you get in the business? Let us understand your history.
So my dad was a German immigrant, so I'm first generation. He came over from Germany, bounced around jobs like many immigrants do, doing 2 or 3 jobs at a time. And when he was running equipment, he couldn't keep grade, but he could wreck stuff. So he found out that demolition was probably the thing for him. So he went down that path and became a demolition person in the Chicagoland area. And ever since I was a kid, I'd drive around with him in a pickup truck. Loved to go with my dad on Saturday mornings driving around. Go to breakfast at 5 o'clock and drive around to the jobs and check the jobs or estimate jobs. So I sort of grew up doing that, and then from there, I went to college, became a civil engineer. I would intern for different construction companies during the summer. We didn't call it interning back then. It was just a summer job, but it was interning. I pretty much interned as a laborer, doing dirt work, doing demolition work, all kind of different work, but just learning how the jobs worked, right? What worked on jobs and what didn't. And I ended up going to college, University of Florida, got my degree in civil engineering. I also, and then I went to work for heavy and highway companies for like 4 or 5 years. So it's good to get a diversity when you come out of college and work for different companies, I believe. My son's currently a junior at University of Illinois in civil engineering. And the plan is for him to go work for other companies for a while and see what he really wants to do, right? But you also get experience working for big companies and seeing the processes and how things work. I got quite a bit of DOT experience. So I understand how DOT projects work, which helps us in the bridge demo phase of our work. Um, but I grew up working at heavy and highway companies for like 5 years, and then my dad hired me to go work for him. I worked for his company for a few years. He sold out, and then we ended up starting our own company. My wife's actually the owner of the company. She started it. We are 100% woman owned. She got into she was a finance major, so she's pretty much the CFO and takes care of that part, and I take care of the estimating and project management pretty much. Um, so that's how we got into the business. We've been in business. Alpine's been in business 22 years now. We have a great team. We have the best people in the industry because your company's only your team, right? It's only the people that make up the company. You're only as good as the people out in the field. Our foremen touch the customer every day. I don't touch customers every day. I might email them, but they're out there touching them, seeing them, dealing with them, interacting with them face to face. So it's important. We have a good team of foremen. We have a good superintendents, good safety director, and good project managers and good office. But we have an infrastructure to do what we got to do because our business has become somewhat complicated. I believe a lot of things we do. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of specs. There's a lot of requirements. Permits are tough. There's EEO requirements. There's engineering we have to do on projects. It's not the old school where somebody just goes, hey, you know what, we'll take it down this way and tickle it down. Now we have to plan it. We have to get it to an engineer, we have companies doing computerized diagrams of our demolition processes that we can show the customers. And that really helps with the customers, makes them feel comfortable doing what we do. So our business has become pretty sophisticated, just like any other business. So
that's awesome. Now you mentioned good team members. So of course, 2+ decades in the business, of course, too, you're standing on the shoulders of giants, with your lineage and family. A lot of smart people in your family too. Sounds like you guys are all geniuses from your wife to your son, to yourself, to your dad. So a lot of credibility there. With the team members, besides you guys running a very good ship, having a lot of experience, how are you guys finding good team members and keeping good people in this climate?
Really, we like to build the leaders of the company from within, and we found being a great way to do it. Hiring good people, you just got to hire good people, honest people. And the same thing I told my son years ago, when he's young, if I can't teach you anything is but one thing, it's to work hard. So long as you have a strong work ethic, you can work your way through everything. So that's what we build our company, people that work hard, do the right thing. And then, and when you have a good nucleus like that, you attract other good people, right? Because people want to come work for us because we do the right thing. We do have the best equipment in the industry. We do treat our people right. We don't yell at our people. And the other people know that in our industry. So if we need people, we can usually, we're fairly attractive to most of the field people to come work for. People like working for us. Also, we work on a lot of projects that work a lot of hours. So we have jobs that work 5/12s and Saturday 8 hours. So the guys in the field, it's hard work, but they do make a decent living. We're all union company, operators and laborers. And then, some of the guys have been with us. I've had people with us almost 20 years. They're now retiring, and they're retiring. They're healthy. They're in good shape. They're not missing any fingers. They're not limping. But I think it's important that the young people say, hey, I work here for a while. It's a way, well, I'm gonna have a pretty good life, and that's what people. It's important to people. We have a lot of family members that not our family members, but members of our workers, their sons, their uncles, their cousins. So that's nice that they we have a lot of family members that work for us. Also, they attract good people. So we get a lot of people from other people, right? We get a lot of our good people from people that know somebody. It's hard to put an ad in the paper to get people. The headhunter type companies, they're tough. To deal with. It's hard getting people through those types of organizations also. But it's relationships, finding people, having a good name out there, doing the right thing, and you'll get the right people. The right people stick. The people don't fit in the culture, they leave, and that's fine. I'd rather have less good people than a bunch of people, but then half of them aren't good people, and then you have issues. And, our work shows it. Our safety record shows it. We're very safe. We have very good quality service. I mean, do we make mistakes? Yes. Who doesn't in our industry? But we really limit our mistakes. When we do make mistakes, we take care of it. We own it. And that's the other thing with people is someone, if you do something wrong, own your mistake and we can fix it and move on. You're not going to get fired over it, if it's an honest mistake. So, and people know that. People know that about us and that we have a good team. They like coming to work for us. So.
Right. And it's probably not their 10th mistake that quarter either. They got to learn from it and
we track,
really keep it there.
Yeah. If you don't make mistakes, you never do anything. Right. So you only learn through your mistakes, and hopefully you learn from it and move on. So
what are some of the differences, back in the day on the Saturdays, riding with dad, getting breakfast at 5? I've heard, it's more complicated. There's more computerization. What sort of changes have you seen throughout the industry, and how are you guys adapting, now in 2024?
Well, it's becoming, environmental issues. Back in the old days, they didn't worry about asbestos, right? That's a big thing, but that's been going for a while. We got to get the asbestos inspection, get the asbestos out. That's pretty much demo 101. Dust has become a big thing nowadays, dust-free demolition. Back in the old days, everybody liked the wrecking ball, right? The crane and the wrecking ball, dropping the wrecking ball. So now we use modern machines, and we're more delicate with how we demo the machines, so we make less disruption around us, less dust, less vibrations, less noise. So we use a lot of the new technology, the newer processors, the demolition high reach machines, the Brocks, planning our work to make it as dust free as possible. So that's some of the things. We don't drop huge things anymore. Back in the old days, guys would drop big things. They would cut and drop huge stacks and buildings and just pull them over. We don't do too much. We can't really do that nowadays. We got to be more like surgeons and more careful in how we do our demolition. People are people. People don't change from 20 years ago or 30 years ago to now. You still got to deal with people. Just the speed of things going with emails. The emails, I don't think anyone's got the emails figured out, right? We all get too many emails, yet it's important to email and communicate, to find that fine line between over communicating yet communicating what's important. So it is a lot of information. We use iPads, all our formative iPads. We got plans on the iPads and everything. That part of the communication's changed a lot. It's just, but also there's been a change with a lot of our customers. They're not as deep, they're not as organized. It feels like we should be more organized now, but it feels like a lot of the jobs are less organized. Don't understand why. We've got all this technology, we've got scheduling, we've got all this stuff, yet I think everybody's an information overload, And it's important to kind of just zero in on what's important and try to focus on what's important. Be strategic about what you do. So things have changed. Some things have changed, like the way we do things. Doing things more gentle, doing dust monitoring, doing all that stuff. But yet, focusing on being a hard worker and treating people right, that never changes, right? That's just something, that's the common denominator that will always stay the same, I think.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm curious on the equipment end, being surgical and having, I heard earlier, like the best equipment in the industry. Do y'all have a preference on renting equipment, owning equipment? Would you say for certain companies there's a maturation phase that they can go through, or that you guys maybe saw in your own firm?
Specialized equipment that you can't easily rent, you need to purchase, that give you a competitive advantage over your competitors. So we have certain equipment that none of our competitors have and gives us a competitive advantage on certain projects. So those types of machines you need to own and take care of. They're big investments, but it pays off in the long run. Things like lifts and skid steers, we do rent a lot of those. But lifts, sometimes we use a 130-foot lift, then we use an 80-foot lift, then we use a 60-foot lift, and then we need 2 lifts. I mean, so we rent a lot of things like the lifts and the backup equipment. Low forklifts we rent a lot. Skid steers, all us demo guys beat the crap out of skid steers. I mean, you can own it, you save a little money, but we all beat the heck out of it. And when you rent the equipment, the good thing when you rent something, in theory, as long as it's a decent rental house, when you get it, it's been checked out, it's been inspected, and and they keep the equipment up. Where we don't have a shop like a shop where we have mechanics working and stuff. We have a couple of drivers, but everything else is outsourced. All our equipment repairs and stuff. So a lot of the rental stuff too is the service that goes behind it. Because these rental companies have huge shops where they come in, they fix the machines, they inspect them and all that. And also we're spreading out our liability a little bit with the lifts and stuff, so that someone else is also liable to make sure that machine's working properly.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's cool. It's nice to kind of tout that you guys are so high level with your equipment, because I feel like some people in the industry, they're just, they're buying stuff at auction left and right, and they're hoping and praying that it lasts the long haul. And I'm like, it might seem like a deal in the beginning, but is it short-sighted? I don't know.
We don't buy stuff from auction typically. I mean, we have maybe a skid steer or something that might be less than 2 years old. But if you buy something that's 4 years old, in 4 years, it's going to be 8 years old, right? And usually if machines in auction, it might have problems. I mean, our philosophy is we like to buy new equipment, put it on the warranties, put it on preventive maintenance agreements, and then we get the extended warranty. So now we've taken a lot of our cost risk out of that piece of equipment. Now we know what our costs are, right? We've bought that insurance to protect the machine. So, the hourly cost covers all that. So we don't have something doesn't go wrong and then we didn't have it figured in our machine cost. So that's the way we do it. And it seems to work out pretty well, because if you buy something new, I mean, we hope to keep it for at least 10 years, but then, it's a good investment. It usually works out pretty well.
Okay, got it. Any finance wisdom? We talked to different guests, and they mentioned certain deposits. Some are no deposits. How do you guys idealize and structure most deals? Do you have a preference or some sort of SOP?
You're talking about for equipment or for projects?
For project work.
For projects, most contracts in the Chicagoland area is just, we're getting a contract and we're by their contract. If we don't want to go by their contract, they will go to the next guy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. There are a lot of demolition contractors in the Chicagoland area. I mean, there's probably 10 or 20 that can do most jobs. There's over 100 demolition contractors that can do houses and stuff. So there's a big, pool of contractors. So we pretty much have to abide by whatever the payment terms are. So we work for general contractors. We also work for public agencies. So typically we'll do the job, we'll bill it, and typical pay right now in the Chicagoland area is around 90 days. So, and then we get paid 90 days later. So what we need to do is we need to have a line of credit that we use in order to pay for the work until we get paid. So it's important in a company that you have a strong line of credit. You also have strong bonding, good insurance, a good attorney, but they have all those things so that you're set up to do it. But you do need capital, a lot of capital to do jobs, especially if you get into a big job or something.
Right. Okay. With some of those mentions, would you recommend a lot of people jump into the business, or it sounds like these days it's a very high barrier to entry, unless you're just going to be one of a million doing houses and smaller type projects. But to get to your level, it's a climb, right? If you were to start these days, I'd imagine you would say, hey, maybe consider that, depending on your area.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rewarding career. I mean, you need to go in with your eyes open and make sure you know what you're getting into. And make sure you know the liability that you get into. Every job you're doing, you have a lot of liability in that project that could, hurt you a lot, maybe even put you out of business. But the demolition industry is a cool industry. So I do encourage people to get into it. If they have the foresight or the inspiration to start a company, I mean, that's great. The more better companies, the higher the water in the pool. So, but you got to go in with your eyes wide open. You have to know the operation side, how to do the jobs, the safety side, the estimating side, the project management side, the accounting side. There's a lot of pieces you need to make sure you've got covered when you jump into a demolition company.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would recommend to people. I talk to a lot of people who are entrepreneurial or in the demo space. They could be team members. I'm very close with a lot of estimators, head estimators and things. Many times they say to me, "Hey, I want to start my own demo company." And I'm like, "All right. How long have you been in the business? Is this something you've been doing for 3 years or 13 years?" I think there's a lot of times that people maybe don't fully comprehend or understand all that has to be done in today's day and age, with insurance, ability to get machinery, being able to get jobs. Is it going to be you if you just started yesterday, or is it going to be the team that's been doing it for 20 years? It is a very, very interesting business with that barrier to entry. What do you recommend for people? For my world, I typically say, hey, be a fantastic employee who's extremely valuable for a certain amount of time. It varies for everyone. Make sure you have your credit and your capital at a reasonable amount. Talk to those team members like lawyers, accounting, this, that, and the other prior to, and then maybe make the jump. And, at least you can make business is always unsafe to some extent. You can make an unsafe jump more safely, perhaps. Do you have any kind of key little wisdoms there for people who maybe are internal and they consider, hey, maybe I just go start my own thing?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. To make sure all your pieces are that you have all the pieces required. Joining associations and hanging out with your peers, talking to people that have started a company is good to do. Be very active in associations, network, right? National Demolition Association, but that's more of a national level. But there's a lot of local associations. We're big into the Subcontractors Association here in Chicagoland. We're also part of the Fox Valley AGC and the Illinois Road Builders. But when we were starting, we would go to those meetings, and that's what we learned. And we talked to attorneys, we talked to accountants for free. We talked to other people. You could have been starting an excavating company or an underground pump company, but you talk to other people and you make sure you have all the pieces in place and what you're getting yourself into. And also, once you start a company, you're never your own boss, right?
Yeah, it's always the ones paying you.
Not really. The employees, right? They're the boss. The employees help, or one of your stakeholders in the company. I mean, your bank. I mean, you're tied with the bank. You got to have a great relationship with your bank. Your accountants, your attorneys, your customers. I mean, everybody's pulling at you. You're trying to make the right decisions, but it's not. You're not the sole person making decisions. You've got other people involved, other stakeholders in your company. So,
yeah, you're right. I've noticed that in my world. Just seeing people do say that you're your own boss, and it's like, are you? I mean, is Elon Musk even his own boss? Like, he could be a behemoth. He's got a lot of stakeholders, shareholders.
He's got a lot of people, and when you start a company, it's not a 9-to-5 job. Our industry, first of all, is not a 9-to-5 job. I usually get up every morning 4:30. I work at least from like 4:30 to 4:35 o'clock every day. Eat lunch at my desk. Either I'm driving the jobs, or there's sometimes I'm on the computer 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes, or I'm in meetings and stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it. Saturdays you're working, Sundays you're working. You have jobs going. You might have night jobs going. You might get up. If you're working at night jobs, there's times I usually get up, 2 o'clock or something. I'll go check on the night jobs. I get up 2 o'clock in the morning so I can check on the jobs before they go home. Or you're starting jobs at 10 p.m. at night. So, it's almost like you're a fireman, because your hours you can't say, if you got to just be able to work all the time, because that's what it is. And you talk to any other demolition guy, they all do the same thing, right? We're working all the time. You can call these guys
Right.
anytime, any day, and they're working, they're picking up the phone. So that's where the hard work comes to. It's all about hard work. So
And how do you balance that out, as a professional, as a leader? How do you personally, for me, it sounds silly. I don't know if it's showing, but pickleball, maybe it's there.
good for you.
Pickleball in the gym.
Good for you.
My things. I guess being in Florida, those are kind of a prerequisite, but I also love walking. What are your kind of releases? Is it
Yeah.
golf? Is it vacation? Is it?
Yeah. It's my dad always said, when we work, we work, when we play, right? So some of the things I do is, when we work hard, but then also take time off, right?
Mm,
Take some time. I like people when they go on vacation, take your week vacation, right? They can't, and so, I mean, like, we have very good vacation policy with our company, a lot of days off. So we work hard, but then also you get time off too, right? So you have to do that. For me personally, I mean, I got a big dog, giant schnauzer. He's actually laying underneath my desk. He usually comes with me. He's a work dog, so he comes with me everywhere working, I guess. But yeah, I do the same thing. I walk with him after work. That helps walking. I do yoga in the morning. A lot of times, 6 a.m. I'll do yoga. I was in yoga class this morning at 6. Or I'll do spin classes at 5 a.m. in the morning. But I do that, to work out and stay active, keep the body active, so you keep your mind active. So I think that's important. Taking care of yourself, go to the dentist, get your eyes checked every year. Go get your annual checkups. You got to take care of your body first. Get your sleep at night. I do really focus on try to get 8 hours, but usually at least 7. 7, 8 hours of sleep at night. I mean, yeah, there are times I get up, but then the other time, get your rest. And then if you rest it up, then once in a while you do pull like an all-nighter or something once in a while, right? Where you don't get a lot of sleep, maybe 4 or 5 hours. But you want to you want to keep your body in good condition so that you can do that. You almost like, you got to take care of your body first. Eat right. Don't drink too much caffeine. Don't drink too much alcohol. I mean, have a good time, but yeah, you got to take care of your body. Drink a lot of water. I drink a ton of water. Eat salads for lunch. I don't eat burgers for lunch. Don't eat heavy lunches. So, but anyway, those are some of the things we do. So
those are all really surprising for the industry.
really,
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes people have. I'm not surprised personally, but I think people in general, they have kind of this hard nosed. I'm going to eat steak for every meal. Potatoes, that kind of thing. Yoga. When you said yoga, I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I don't know if any of our guests have told me they do yoga. I love that. I've dabbled with it myself, and it's pretty cool. Like, the things you can do and the clarity you could have amongst all the chaos and levers, like you mentioned earlier, that are pulling at you, to be able to kind of just take a breather, nix that out. That's why I like pickleball, because you're like constantly in the zone, like you used to be when you're, hitting in baseball or you're pitching in baseball. It's just nothing but straight. That's interesting. I like that.
I like snow skiing
Very, very
too. I
cool.
don't get to do that as much as I like to. But it's the same thing when you're skiing down a mountain. You're just worried about getting down the mountain, right? You're not worried about anything else. I love snow skiing for that reason. And being on the water if I can. But it's a balance. It's a balance. You work hard, you work a lot, but then you got to take some time off too. So I think it's super important, and also have some sort of spiritual life, right? Um, whatever you like to do for your spiritual life, but to believe in something and have that also.
Yeah, these are all great. And I think it makes a lot of sense, because some people, maybe I actually know one of the estimators I'm very close with. He had a life change where he had difficulties with, kind of weight and putting weight on, things like that. And he eventually, I don't even know. I think he said last time his waist is like a 36, and he was nowhere near a 36. And now he's like, man, I'm back to my high school weight. He feels better, stopped smoking. Some of these kind of construction type things, drinking, I think, is next to nothing or limited. It is a new age, but it is cool to hear you kind of representing that new age to our audience, where you can buy into this character that may be out there about demolition, the construction industry, etc. Or you can look at the reality where a lot of leaders or high performers are not abusing themselves, be it with food, alcohol, staying up too late often, spending money that they think they have, but they really should be reinvesting it instead of just blowing it on the nicest truck on the lot, not even negotiating. Interesting. Okay, I like it. So here's a question that I think I know the answer to, but for our audience who may be listening and has aspirations to be where you guys are, is it worth it? Is everything that you've gone through and continue to do, is it worth it?
It is worth it to me, but
Okay.
but you have to be a special type of person to think it's worth it, right? Some people may not think it's worth it, but to me, it's I love what I do. If I wouldn't, I wouldn't be doing what I would do, right? I could, I don't know. I could retire, right? I mean, why do people do
Right.
what they do, like Elon Musk? I mean, he didn't need to work for money, right? Why do people do what they do? Because they love doing what they do. So I love figuring out projects. I like doing what I do. I like teaching people. I like teaching the young people and to our trade, so that it keeps the company going. I like, when you do a project, we do something, right? Hey, I demoed that. And now there's a new school, and now there's nothing. There's just a field, but still we demoed what was there, and now there's something new there. So that's pretty cool. What we do, a lot of cool things that we help society, modernize their buildings or whatever. Become more modern, because old buildings, sooner or later, they can only last 100 years or so. You got to clean it up and move on. So, yeah, I think it is worth it.
Awesome. Okay, last few quick questions to wrap it up. Do you have any things that you wish you knew, let's say when you're starting things off, the 22 years ago, what have you, that you now know in current state that you could tell yourself back then and say, hey, here's 2 or 3 things, soak these in and know them now rather than have to go through the trials and tribulations? Any things that kind of come to mind?
Something, I mean, we were pretty good at this, but is to make sure you put away as much money as you can in your 401ks and stuff. We've done pretty good with that. But when you're young, you're like, I don't want to put that money away. But I think it's important for people to put away their maximum contributions, right? It doesn't matter what you're working on. I don't think too many people are in pensions anymore unless you're in a union or something. But to save your money and to have a plan. Now, we had a plan, but it's hard sticking with a plan, but kind of have a plan and then check in on that plan once a year or something and see if that's where you want to be and that's where you want to go. Because a lot of people just kind of go, but they don't know where they're going, right? Have a map. And we kind of had one, but we could have done probably a little bit better with the map of where we want to go and what we want to do. So, but just to plan things out and think about what you're going to do. And, make sure you spend time with your family. I mean, because your kids grow quick. It's important. Our son has, been great, but we did spend a lot of time with him. I coached his football team. Take advantage of that. Coach your football team for your kid. Coach the baseball team. If you got to go home early and then go back to work at 10 o'clock at night, that's what I used to do, right? I go coach at 10 o'clock, finish up my work. Or what I like to do is get up really early. I'll get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get caught up in the work, But enjoy those times, because those don't come back. Whatever you put into your kids, whatever you put into your company, come back tenfold, I believe.
Interesting. Yeah, make a lot of deposits, make occasional withdrawals.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have it backwards, or they have the expectation of one day being on the throne and I'm going to make a bunch of withdrawals. It's like, well, you got to keep a balance, and certainly is ideal if you can put more in.
Keep the company capitalized, take a fair salary, but don't take too much. You got to keep money in the company. It'll make you stronger in the long run. So.
Yep. Yeah, you can be you're never invincible, but you can be more protected and certainly have less sleepless nights when you do it right.
Yep. Because there's going to be
Consistently.
roller coasters in our business. There's a roller coaster. You're going to be the highs are the best in the world, and the lows really suck in our business, like anything. So you just got to be ready for it and try to be even keel. Try to keep your days pretty even. Try to be the same person every day. I think too.
Right, almost like a humble type of thing. Yeah, you'll learn that humble aspect through those ups and downs, the roller coasters and things.
The demo gods giveth and they taketh away. So,
right now, let me ask you on that. Where we're talking about the downs, is it a cyclical? Is it a tough client losing a team member because they're retiring or something? Like, what are some of those downs and how do you overcome them?
The worst downs is when you have somebody hurt on a job site.
Mm.
That really that's really a downer. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, or they have to go to the hospital or something, or you got to visit one of your employees in the hospital. I mean, that's a downer. Things like that. I mean, it doesn't get any worse. Or if you lose a key employee, they go work for a competitor or something. I mean, that's kind of a downer too, right? When you lose people. I mean, those are some of the bigger ones, that I can think of.
Got it. With the
or if you don't get a job, sometimes you did a big job, you hope you get it, and then you don't get it. That's a downer, but you get over that one, But anyway.
Right. With the estimating and pipeline and everything, that kind of alludes to it is, one way to not get as down is when you have a frothy, exciting, good upside pipeline. How do you guys go about that beyond, networking, beyond, your tenure? Do you guys, I know you're not on billboards, at least I assume. Do you guys participate in anything advertising wise? You have a great website, a cool URL. Do you guys participate in any particular advertising?
In our industry, it's more word of mouth. By doing a good job is how you get the next good job in our industry. The types of jobs we do. I mean, we keep LinkedIn up to date. We try to post on there and keep that somewhat up to date. So LinkedIn's another way. We do some advertising, like in events or stuff. The local organizations will do a little, like a golf outing. We might help sponsor a golf outing or something like that. But nothing major.
Okay. Now, for let's say the companies who are smaller, middle market, would you recommend the same kind of nature of advertising, or would you recommend maybe they, I don't know, they go to the country club and things like that? Like, what would you recommend maybe for smaller?
I don't think you get too many. You might get a job here and there at the country club,
right?
But for the small mediums, you just got to hustle. Take every job. No job is too small when you're first starting out. The small jobs lead to the big jobs. And then when you see vacant properties, there's a phone number out in front. The realtor, call them. Put your name in the hat. That's what I would do. Drive around, see a number, call it. Hey, I'm Karsten with Alpine Demolition. Let me know if you have a client that needs demolition services. You should start calling people, right? Still, I think the face-to-face, the phone calls is the best way to get customers. Just keep your eyes and ears open and make a lot of phone calls and just you get jobs. You might not get jobs from somebody but you might get a job from the person that knows. We get a lot of jobs like that from the second person down the line. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's like referrals, recommendations, just doing goodwill in the world and staying close to people. It may not be them, but their inner circle can certainly need help. Love it. Awesome. Any other last little tidbits you want to share, and then we'll sign off? Or not.
No.
We may have already put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I think we covered quite a bit. So no, hopefully it benefits somebody. I mean, I always like helping people out because I assume this is are you throughout the U.S. or throughout the world? Or
yeah, podcast is everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. We have people from Europe, Canada. We've had Canadian guests. Not a lot in South America or Asia, but definitely, I mean, maybe the universe will say no. Throughout the world, definitely throughout
Okay.
the world.
And
Most here in North
how many
America.
people watch your podcast?
Our biggest video crossed 40,000 viewers on YouTube. That
Oh,
was
nice.
a few weeks ago. And it's only a
Congratulations.
few weeks old. Yeah, pretty exciting. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're really kind of everywhere you can listen to podcasts. And then this is cool that we do the video aspect as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just pure audio. Like, I think people getting to put a face to the voice and
Sure.
a face to the success and go, hey, you know, so other people can do it. Why can't I do it? In certain instances, we just had our first female demolition owner in Demo Diva with Simone down in
Yep,
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Super cool. And it's
Yeah,
not that we've been not trying to get women. We've actually desperately been trying to get anything but a white male. You know, as we're trying to develop the podcast and get, you know, other viewers and listeners. So I was like, Simone, you know, you don't know me. A few weeks ago, she didn't know me, and we got a pretty good bond rather quickly over that podcast. So
yeah, she's pretty good. She's pretty good with the marketing and stuff. The pink machines.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, she's sharp, and her story was really, really cool. But before we wrap up here, could you please share your website, your phone number, any little takeaways if people need to reach out or maybe even work with you guys?
You know, you just Google Alpine Demolition Services. We should pop up. But our website is knockitdown.com. We paid a marketing company a lot of money for that a long time ago. No, actually, we didn't. We came up with it ourselves. But yeah,
sweet.
People always get a giggle. So when you come up with a website for a company, that brings up a good point. You know, try to be a little creative with it. Our phone number in our office, 630-761-0700. You can call there and connect it to my phone. If anyone has questions, I'm always willing to help out people, you know, in the industry. So, because we want to raise the water in our pool. And, you know, something bad happens in our industry, it affects all of us. So we don't want anybody we want everybody to be safe, everybody to be successful, everybody to do a good job and make our industry the best it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's us too. That's why we have great guests like you come on. That's why we have the Simones come on. We really, really see that there's a big need for mentorship. There's a big need for community. As you mentioned earlier, those roller coasters, I don't care what business it is, but this industry specifically, it's not just money roller coasters. Like you said, the biggest difficulty is team members and safety. You don't have that if you're, I don't know, selling TVs. You don't have that in a lot of businesses. So this one, we're really trying to kind of have a button down conversation, some entertaining, fun moments, very sparse, you know, kind of conflict or anything like that. But if we can make it exciting as well as educational, that's really what we're trying to do and bring people together. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for coming on. You and I are going to stay on the line, but we're going to wrap up. And this gives us another episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap for this episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Stay tuned and subscribe for more explosive insights from our upcoming episodes. Until then, continue to blow up your demolition business and make the competition rubble in your path.